Lock.
Yeah.
Scott, the IT guy.
Now I'm streaming on YouTube. So for you YouTube people, welcome to the podcast. This is and I'll give a quick recap. Scott, the IT guy, fortunately corrected me and let me know that I wasn't streaming live on YouTube, but I am now. Oh, we are now. I made the correction. Yeah. So what does Scott, the IT guy, says? He says, there was a show last night. Yeah, you weren't invited.
There was definitely a show last night. Probably one of the best shows.
You say that every time I do a solo show.
Absolutely.
I think you're being facetious. Is that a big word?
It is. Yeah, you might need to go lay down after using that word.
Yeah. So last episode, I started the show off with best band names. I know you threw a couple in there, but do you have any others like offhand? I know you threw in Brian Jonestown Massacre, which is a great one. Yeah,
I mean, and I don't even know if I would regard them as the best names out there, but you know, that's kind of interesting, kind of funny. There was a local band here called Rocktopus that used to kill me.
So there was one that I didn't get to. It. It's a Japanese band, and the name of the band, this right here, might be the greatest name for a band ever. The name of the band, Japanese band, is Bathtub Shitter. Come on! How great is that name? Bathtub Shitter.
Mom, Dad, I'm dropping out of school. I'm pursuing my dream. No, don't cry. Don't cry. I mean, it's a great band. What's the name? Bathtub Shitter.
Bathtub Shitter.
Mom, put that knife down. Put it down.
Yeah, but the story behind it is they came up with the name before they even created the band. Like, these two dudes didn't even have a band yet. And they're like, we're going to do a band, and the name is Bathtub Shitter. Now we're going to get a band together.
So let me ask you this, Scott. Have you listened to any of the obviously classic Bathtub Shitter albums?
I can't say that I have, but now I'm extremely curious. To see if they exist on. So while we're kind of just let me see. I'm gonna try to see if I can pull them up if they exist on Amazon. Search. Here we go. All right.
You gonna play him? You gonna play him?
I'm gonna play him.
Hey, we might get pulled off the air. You know, copyright.
Yeah. Because the Bathtub Shitters have a strong copyright team.
Oh my God! If we get a written letter, a cease and desist from Bathtub Shitters, I'm framing that bad boy.
This one is called Shit Fly. I love them already. Let's see what we got here. Not the greatest. Okay. Yeah. Did you hear him right there? He said shit fly. You heard him, right? Yeah, buddy. That's the famous Japanese band Brian Gilder said, "What the fuck is this shit?"
So
It's a
I think
famous Japanese band called Bathtub Shitter.
I think as we all just heard, Bathtub Shitters is not the worst part of that band. The name is not the worst part.
All Pants No. This is the cut. All Pants No. Yeah, buddy. Bathtub Shitter. There you go. There you go. And the name of this album is 97 plus 3 Shit Points. Oh, good Lord.
Quality band. How did you find those guys?
I just was looking up fucked up names for bands, and that popped up. So, terrible. Yeah, Japanese band. You know what? Terrible. We might have just debuted Shit Fly by the Bathtub Shitter.
That's us.
We're cutting USA.
We're cutting edge show.
Yeah, we could have, Jack.
we could have introduced REM at some point. We could have introduced U2 at some point.
Why?
But instead, we premiere the Bathtub Shitters.
With 2 cuts. One was Shit Fly, and the second cut we premiered in the U.S. is All Pants No. Maybe we could get him on the show. What do you think?
I'm sure we probably could.
Do we have an interpreter? Someone that could come on?
You know, it may be reliant upon them actually having internet service in the basement of their parents' house where they probably live right now.
In Japan? Do they have basements in Japan?
Who knows?
Do they have basements? Well, either way, that's it. We debuted Bathtub Shitter in the United States. Hey, what's a better song? These are always interesting questions. What is a better song? Which song is better? School's Out or Detroit Rock City?
I think that both great songs.
Yeah.
Both great songs. And I was a big Kiss fan back in the day. Alice Cooper was huge as well. I think that School's Out is probably more of an iconic song than Detroit Rock City. I think more people know it. I think it's probably more popular.
But the question is, what is the better song?
Well, no, I don't know that you can judge which one is better.
In your opinion.
I think the question is which one do I like more?
Why is this so fucking hard? This is just a question.
It's a challenging question.
Which one do you like?
No. You asked. Wait a minute. You look. You asked me a ludicrous question.
I missed you.
You asked me which song is better. Now, what does that mean? Does it mean that which song is better musically? Which song is better production-wise? Which one is more popular? Which one is sold more copies?
You always get over-analytical. You get over-analytical.
Look, you asked me a stupid question.
Stupid. That's a good question.
It's a fucking idiotic question. Hey, Scott. Scott, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Which is better, hot dogs or hamburgers?
Hamburgers.
No. That means you like them more. It doesn't mean that one is better or worse. There may be more people that like hot dogs better. It's not an easy question to answer. You have to be more specific.
But the average person knows what I'm saying. The average person would know exactly where I'm going with that question. But not Jack. Jack has to break down every word.
You ask which is better.
Okay.
Now,
most people know what to answer. It would be their favorite song out of the two is the better of the two.
If you want to be a broadcaster when you grow up, you have to be precise with your questioning, or it leads to confusion. And it sounds like a Bathtub Shitter song.
Well, that was a shitty answer.
It is a shitty answer.
Okay, Jack, let me reword this for your technical nuances of sentences that come your way, whatever the fuck that means. Which
really
song do you like
It wasn't
better?
a sentence. It
Which
was
song?
a question.
Stop. Which song do you like better? I'm not done asking the question. School's Out or Detroit Rock City?
I like them both equal.
Oh, I knew you. I fucking knew that was coming. I saw that a mile away.
No, look, for me, just because of, the age that I grew up in and how I loved that band, I love both of the songs. I really do. But I think if I were to go back into my own personal history, I've probably played Detroit Rock City far more than I've played Schools Out.
Really?
Yeah. Look, I was a big Kiss fan when I was a kid.
Okay.
Kiss came around and hit at that right age.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah. Kiss Alive 2 was a monumental album for us at that time.
Yeah,
the
but
insert, the insert that came with it, and
Yeah, I love both of them. I really do. It's a hard question to answer.
That's why I asked it. It took
but
me a while
if I were forced to answer the question, which I have been, I would actually have to say, for me, personally,
and that's the question. Yeah,
Detroit Rock City.
Okay, that's interesting because I think I've listened to Schools Out more, and I was a Kiss fan. I had all their albums. I had all their solo albums, but I loved Alice Cooper. Alice Cooper's greatest hits might be in the top 3 best greatest hits albums. That is fantastic.
It's a great,
top
great
5,
album.
I'd say. Top 5 greatest hits. That's a great start to finish. It's just such, and it puts it all together. It pulls it together. $1 Billion Babies was a great album. Schools Out was a great album.
It amazes me that both of those bands are still touring, or both of those artists, or however you want to categorize it. They're still out there. They're doing it in a lot of theatrics. There's no question about it that Kiss pulled a lot from Alice Cooper.
Yeah, probably
in terms of the overall theatrics.
Yeah. They did but they had the over the top show. I saw them at the Providence Civic Center in like '79. And it was just, what an epic stage show. Epic stage show. Gene Simmons
they've been on their
top doing Gods of Thunder.
They've been on their farewell tour for what, 5 years now?
I was just going to say that. Isn't this their 5th go around?
So we
have no viewers right now. I think Bathhouse Shit has got us knocked off.
You're kidding me.
We have no viewers. Yeah.
I love it.
I think the Bathhouse Shit has got us knocked off, at least Facebook. Let me see. I think the gods, maybe they are protected. Maybe you called it. Let's see. I'm going to go on right now since we're live. It says live.
Well, you see again.
Oh, we are. Okay.
So
I'm listening to it, right? You can hear me. All right.
See? You may have been right in the way that you actually phrased that statement. The bathhouse shitters didn't necessarily get us kicked off. We just lost all of our viewers because of them.
Let me see if we're on YouTube right now. Let me see. Yeah, we're live on YouTube. I don't know maybe the viewers just bailed on us. That's okay. Something happened. I know something happened.
It's all right.
So is Kiss overrated? Let me finish the question. So are they overrated because they had a great hype machine around them? They great marketing, some of the greatest marketing in music history, great visual show, great stage presence show. But did their music match all of that? You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, did their music meet their legend status?
Yeah. I think it depends on who you ask. I think that most musicians kind of disregard Kiss for the very reasons that you just listed. Hype, marketing, the toys, the commercialism. And then they're relatively simple songs and they're not overly complicated to play. So I think that they're underrated from a musician standpoint. I think that they have a lot more musically to offer than musicians give them credit for. From a general popularity standpoint, I think that they have enough hits to justify the career that they've had. And their stage show is something that has generated a following
Second to none.
For what?
Yeah, it's second to none.
Yeah, for almost 50 years.
Yeah, it's second to none. It is an outstanding stage show.
Yeah,
that's for damn sure.
Do you have a top five Kiss songs that you can rattle off the top of your head?
Beth, God of Thunder, Detroit Rock City, Rock and Roll All Night, Party Every Day, and what would be the fifth one? I don't know. I can't think of it. Can't think of one off the top of my head. Again, stopped yeah, go ahead.
Let me throw a couple out.
Don't say lick it up. The lick it up thing is not what I would consider.
No. What about Hard Luck Woman?
Yeah, she's a hard luck woman. Yeah.
What about Strutter or Deuce?
Yeah.
Or Let Me Go Rock and Roll? How about Calling Dr. Love? How about
Calling
I Want
Dr.
You?
Love. Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
Christine 16.
Yeah.
Yep. And
those were off of Love Gun, wasn't Dr. Love?
Was off of Love Gun. How about I Was Made for Loving You, their disco hit?
That
I was made for loving you, baby.
They weren't alone. So you can't really knock them. The Stones did it with Miss You.
Rod Stewart did it.
Yep. Do You Think I'm Sexy? Yep. They all did it.
Queen did it.
Yes. Yeah. So you can't really knock them for it. But I don't know. Like, I stopped being a Kiss fan probably in high school. I think.
Well,
it was so saturated that
not only
walked away. I think.
Yeah, not only saturated, but after a little while, you get a little bit older and whatnot. And Kiss was cool when we were in, 5th and 6th and 7th and 8th grade, and when you got into like high school and whatnot, with the makeup and the stage show and the lasers and the fire and all that stuff, it kind of lost its coolness, right? It was almost, and I think this is one of the issues that they have, is that they're kind of disregarded as a novelty act.
Yeah.
Now, I think they're far more talented and deserve a lot more credit than being, labeled as a novelty act. I mean, we just rattled off a bunch of songs, a lot more popular, right? A lot more popular songs than a lot of other bands. They had a lot more hits than a lot of other bands. But remember, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame snubbed them for years and years and years and years.
I remember someone from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame saying, Hall & Oates will never be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That when the thing first kicked off, when it first started to catch some, get its legs under it, someone from there said the Hall & Oates will never be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Fast forward. Like, why would you even? Because when they first started out, that was their goal. It was just going to be rock and roll.
Yeah, sure.
But I think they ran out of bands, Not so much. I think they would have burned through a lot of bands, but I think we've beat that horse to death. It's not the rock; it's the Music Hall of Fame. Really.
Yeah, but also, what's the motivation of actually having somebody inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I mean, look, if you look at Hall & Oates pre Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction and post, their careers were night and day. Look, I'll tell you that Deb and I went and saw Hall & Oates a couple of years before they got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they were playing at, down in Connecticut at one of the casinos, and the place was maybe 3/4 of the way filled. The tickets were probably $45. It was reasonable, and they were great. They were a lot of fun. They have a lot of hits. They still sing well, they still play well and whatnot. But then the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame hit, and now they're playing much bigger places. And as a matter of fact, they've actually played that same casino, and now the tickets are $400.
That's the difference. Yeah, that's the difference.
So, you have to question to a certain extent, what's the motivation behind the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? What does it do to a band or an artist? Why do they do it? It's an industry thing, promoted by industry people, voted on by industry people. So it's kind of a self-perpetuating thing. How do you like that?
Yeah,
huh?
No, I hear you. I believe what you're saying. No argument.
You
think
damn well better.
I'll find an argument. Trust me. You know that. I think that a lot of bands reunited and started touring again because getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame means more money, more money, more money.
Sure it does. So, there's a couple of things. Look, why do you think that people don't necessarily get paid for playing the Super Bowl? Is that, you can't get that type of exposure without it. And most people, now it didn't happen this year or it didn't happen yet, but most bands or artists, when they play the Super Bowl, they almost announce their tour the next day. It's a huge, huge way to kind of promote, the band and or artists. And the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is no different.
It didn't do Maroon 5 that well.
Who I wonder? I wonder if somebody will actually get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Have you ever heard of an artist by the name of Jack Harlow?
Jack Harlow?
Harlow.
No.
Big rap guy on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine. I thought that you would be all over this guy.
No. Tom McDonald. I'm listening to him more as far as new artists go.
He's the underground guy that
yeah.
Kind of really started organic. This guy is kind of along the same lines. Kind of came up, was goofing off in high school and kind of like playing with beats and he's got a couple of records out. He has something that actually debuted on number 1 on the Billboard Top 100. He's actually getting into acting right now. But it actually, I listened to him for a little bit today because I didn't really know much about him. I listened to him because I saw that he was on the cover of Rolling Stone, and it made me curious. But the thing that made me even more curious is, white rappers, and this may be a somewhat controversial, topic. Did they get labeled? Did they get vilified for cultural appropriation?
No.
For, kind of singing music?
They tried, but it didn't really stick. It didn't really stick because Eminem was the greatest at one point, in a lot of people's opinion, the best rapper on the planet. So how do you say he culturally appropriated, rap music? It is what it is. Music is music. So did I don't know, Living Color appropriate, rock and roll?
I think there may be some people.
Did they culturally appropriate white people's rock and roll? Think about it. It's the same question. It's just reversed.
Yeah, I'm sure that they probably got some criticism lobbed at them. I'm sure that they got some criticism lobbed at them. Why are you playing that music?
Well, by who?
Did you like those guys?
By the black community, you think?
I don't know.
I mean, do you think anyone's going to fuck with Ice-T? But you made the statement that you think they probably caught it, but you have to say, you got to finish it by who do you think would say that to them?
Yeah, but I mean, look, there's no question about it that an all black band like Living Color is a rarity, playing straight ahead rock and roll like that. It shouldn't be.
No, it
shouldn't be. But
I know nobody balked at them that I knew. No one's like, no, they were good.
Yeah,
for their time.
Well, again, the shame of it is part of their notoriety was because they were an all-black band playing straight-ahead rock and roll music.
And it was heavy. They were heavy.
Yeah,
there was no fusion. It was heavy rock. Like Body Count. Do you think anyone fucking said anything to Ice-T?
No,
You know,
but
with
again,
body count.
but again, I think one of the things that is really kind of shameful is that body count or living color, part of their notoriety was they were playing music that was outside of what people would perceive to what they should be playing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's because a lot of people didn't want to cross over.
Yeah.
That's the only reason you would think no one's crossing over. But you know, and that is, you're right. That is what makes it rare. You know, Kid Rock. Bob Kirkman just said Kid Rock. Same thing, except Kid Rock. He changed up. He made a good call in changing up and going more to the country kind of style.
Yeah,
Because that
I don't
became
regard
its own genre.
Yeah, I don't regard Kid Rock as is really a rapper. He raps, there's no question about it. But I think that, to your point, he's broadened his musical stylings.
It's a good
And
business move.
oh, huge,
Yeah. Yeah.
huge.
Darius Rucker. Okay, there was a black guy who was the front man for Hootie and the Blowfish. And then out of nowhere, the lead singer, the black guy, lead singer from Darius Rucker, Hootie and the Blowfish, has this monster country career.
Yeah,
Like
very popular.
Immediately. It was like fucking instantaneously. This guy became a country rock, country musician superstar.
Well, you know why he became so big?
He's talented.
He's fucking talented. He's an
Yeah.
amazing singer.
Yeah,
You know,
and a songwriter.
good songwriter. You know, good presence, good live performance.
Yeah.
He's got it all.
Yeah, but to go in that direction, which is, I don't know, it's kind of could be controversial because there's always, now we're getting into identity politics, and I don't really want to go down that lane. But
Well, yeah, you know what I mean. We can end this part of the segment right here. It's the whole cultural appropriation thing drives me nuts when it comes to the arts. You know, people have influences. People beg, borrow, and steal from one another. To create their music, and that's okay. Every painting, every story, every writer, every poem or whatnot draws from different influences. And I don't think that anybody should stop anybody from leveraging those, as long as they're not plagiarizing them. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I mean, look at the influence I have on you.
The way that I shaved my head.
Yeah. See, if that's what it took.
That's what it was, Scott. I wanted to look just like you.
Well, you're doing a good job. You do. I'll give you credit.
Some would say even a better job.
Well, everyone has their tastes.
I have something that I wanted to chat with you about.
Yeah, dude.
So, some episodes ago, and it may be a while ago, I don't even remember, we talked about kind of the rock and roll death march that's occurring. We had a rash of artists that passed in a relatively short period of time, right?
Yeah.
Prince and Tom Petty, and there were a handful of people that just kind of, Chris Cornell and Chester from Linkin Park.
Linkin Park, yeah.
So, kind of crazy. And that seems to kind of slightly subsided. You definitely have people that are still passing, and it's going to continue on just because of where they are in their own individual journeys. Rock and roll, those old rock and rollers from the 50s and 60s and even 70s are getting older, and they're, getting sick, and it's a natural thing. But it seems like we've had a real blip, a death parade of comedians.
I know.
You think about it. I actually wrote this down. So in September of 2021, we lost Norm Macdonald, 61 from acute leukemia.
He was one of the funniest guys in the world.
Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
Nobody like him. There was nobody like him.
I love Norm Macdonald. There's something on YouTube. I think he's on, I can't remember if it's, I think it's Conan, where he was
on Conan a lot. Yeah.
He tells a story about going on vacation and playing Scrabble. I've probably watched it 20 times, and I laughed just as hard now as when I did the first time that I watched it.
The only person I think that could tell a story better or just as good is Dave Chappelle.
Dave
Norm
Chappelle's
Macdonald could tell a fucking great story.
hilarious.
The way he did
so
it, his delivery was flawless.
Yeah, yeah. But so he passed in September of 2021 at the age of 61 from acute leukemia. Then Louis Anderson died in January from lymphoma. He was 68. Then you have Bob Saget that died on January 9th. He had a skull fracture, and there's some mystery surrounding his death. And then most recently, we lost Gilbert Gottfried. We just lost him last week. He had ventricular tachycardia, I believe. I mean, think about that. You know what? Online, if you look, there's a couple of photos with those guys all together.
Wow.
If you had looked at that photo a year ago, you never would have guessed that all of them would be gone.
They all came up together. If you think about it, they all came up together. I'll tell you what, not many people were better roasters than Gilbert Gottfried was. That was his thing. At those roasts, that guy is fire.
He's was hilarious.
Absolute fire. As unique as they come. You either liked him, you either loved him, or you didn't.
Yeah, you know what's funny?
What's that?
You know, we were talking about, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or the Super Bowl, kind of reigniting people's careers. The other thing that does it is death.
Yeah.
And what one piece of evidence, regarding that is that I don't think my daughter Vanessa really knew who Gilbert Gottfried is. I know that she probably knew him from the Affleck commercials and from Aladdin and whatnot. But yesterday, and even this morning around the house, I kept hearing Gilbert Gottfried's voice. His passing prompted her to kind of research him a little bit, to get to understand who he was and what he actually brought to the craft and into the world and whatnot. And she rediscovered him.
Yeah.
And which is cool. But the thing that I started thinking about, the comedians that had passed, and then it made me think about, okay, our show and Milk Crates and Turntables, and we spend a lot of time talking about the music that we listened to when we were growing up, and it made me start to think about the comedy records that we listened to when we were kids.
Yeah.
So, I wrote down, just a quick list. I can't believe that when I was a little kid that I used to play Cheech and Chong.
Yeah. Had all the
my parents
still have. I
didn't blink an eye.
No, I still have Big Bamboo with the giant rolling paper in the album. Yeah.
Those guys were hilarious.
Yes. Yeah.
Where is it? It's Dave, man. I got the stuff.
Dave's not here, man.
Who? It's Dave. I got the stuff. Open up the door. Dave? Dave's not here.
No, it's
hilarious when
he says it like this. Dave's not here, man. Dave's not here, man. I'm Dave. Let me in. Dave? Nah, Dave's not here, man.
Not here. But also Cheech and Chong, Robin Williams, I remember that was a huge album. Steve Martin was enormous when we were kids. He was playing, places like the Boston Garden, 15,000 seaters for a couple of years. He was just huge.
Wild and Crazy Guy was an iconic album, and it was so, like, he purposely said shit, just stupid shit on purpose. Like, he was more intelligent. He was so smart, he knew this would work. Like, he took the most childish things and made them funnier than they really were. It made you think about it. It was very smart humor. Everyone can look at it and say, it's dumbed down. It's not. None of these guys are dumb. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But I never listened to the Robin Williams album.
You know what? So this is probably not a popular thing to say, but I am not and have never been a big fan of Robin Williams comedy. I respect it. I love, but for me, it was too manic.
Well, you know who his idol was, who he mimicked himself after. Jonathan Winters. Yeah. Now that guy was fucking funny.
He was hilarious. But I actually appreciated Robin Williams more for his acting capabilities than his comedy. I thought it was no question about it. No question about it. Funny guy, could be hilarious, but his stand-up didn't do much for me.
Yeah. So Perry Dietovich just said 7 words you can't say on TV, but you guys
the great George Carlin.
But we can.
Do you remember?
Tick up, prick, cock, suck a motherfucking ditch.
George Carlin. There's another one. I can't believe that our parents let us listen to that
Brilliant
when we
humor.
were just little
Brilliant
kids.
humor. Let me go back before that. Bill Cosby.
You know what? It's on my list as well.
Dude, forget his current situation. My father used to have us listening to that. Bill Cosby was another one that could tell a fucking story. That Fat Albert story it led to a whole cartoon. If you wanted to do it, you'll find it on YouTube. Bill Cosby's Fat Albert story. That shit was and still is fucking funny.
Yeah. You know what? This may be a little bit of a stretch, but this is what I was thinking about it particularly as it pertained to Bill Cosby. I think that when we were kids, and all of us kids, when we were listening to those records, it kind of by osmosis almost seeped into our brains, and it actually taught us how to communicate and how to tell good stories. Because, you know what, I remember, and I don't know if you did the same, you know what, I used to listen to those records, like, you know, I would put on Kiss or Elton John or David Bowie or whatnot, and I would do other things while I was listening to that stuff. When I put on a comedy record, I sat quietly and listened and laughed my ass off. But I know, you know, growing up in the town that we grew up, where everybody had a huge appreciation for comedy, and we always look for different ways to cut each other down and to tell stories, I think that we were somewhat trained by a lot of those records.
Could be. Tom Spallone, watching on YouTube, commented in best Robin Williams bit, and then he answered with his next comment, New York Echo, hello, fuck you. I could not name a Robin Williams bit. I could, like, I can't, because he's so, everything runs right into the next thing. So he's not like he finishes and then he starts again. That's why that manic comedy. He was funny. He was caned out of his mind, you know? That's why he just ran around like a lunatic on the stage. But, I wouldn't be able to give you a Robin Williams bit.
I would be interested to know, and I don't have an answer to this, so whether it's Bill Cosby, whether it's Cheech and Chong, whether it's Steve Martin, whether it's Robin Williams, if you actually put those records on today, would they stand up? Do they hold up?
So I listened to a Cheech and Chong album somewhat recently. I'm not sure.
Is it because it's dated, or it's because you know it so well?
Well, if you listen to the quality of it, it's very toned down, right? It's still funny, but I think it was more when it was more original. When you first heard it, it had more of an effect on you. I think they might have aged well. I started listening. I'm like, maybe it's past. I'll tell you the most recent, and this is going back 10, 15, well, shit, maybe more than that, 20 years ago. Probably one of the funniest, I guess, cassettes that I ever listened to was the Jerky Boys.
Oh my God,
dude!
Did you listen?
It was brilliant, fucking brilliant.
How early were you on the Jerky Boys? Because I'll tell you,
from the beginning, my cousin turned me on to them.
I was into the Jerky Boys when it was just a blank cassette, and it was handwritten.
Okay.
So before they actually had a record, you know, those cassettes actually were kind of like passed around, it almost had an underground thing. I laughed my ass off on some of those things.
Oh, it was just, you could go down the list, and it was brilliant. But they got too big too fast, and they split up.
Tom Spallone, you know, mentions Red's Bar, which is really where the Jerky Boys kind of pulled their idea from. I don't know if it was directly from it, but kind of the same thing. For those of you that don't know Red's Bar, there was a bar in New York, I believe it was, and there were people that would call and prank the owner, much like you saw in The Simpsons. That's where that bit came from. And the owner used to just go absolutely berserk, which of course made them do it 10 times more. Yeah. So
yeah,
Perry's talking about George Carlin, and he says that his bits still hold up. And I agree with you, Perry. I think that his old bits still hold up. My issue with George Carlin, and look, I think he got to a point where he got more cynical, less funny.
he got political.
Those later days, he got really political, and you didn't have as many laughs.
But he made fucking all the sense in the world. That was that was his comedy. He made all the sense in the world. He made it. He told it to you in a way that it hasn't been told to you, and it was almost enlightening comedy because his delivery was still good. George Carlin's delivery never faded. You know, the walking around, the bending over, the eyes open, talking to you like you're an idiot. You know, sometimes, I mean, his delivery and his presence on stage is what made that. But it became like Dennis Miller. It's very intelligent humor. Very intelligent humor. It's a thinking man's humor.
Well, I'll agree with you in terms of Dennis Miller as thinking man's humor, but I think that everybody that we had mentioned, I think the ability to be able to craft stories and to make observations and to turn them into something that makes people laugh requires a certain amount of genius.
So I could say that growing up, so no matter where I went in the world, when I was in the Air Force, if you were from Winthrop around the time we grew up together, you commanded an audience. Storytelling is just a natural. It becomes a natural ability for most of us to tell a good story, right? And it wasn't anything that we tried to do. It was the people that you were telling it to could not believe what you did, what you were talking about. But we just were naturally good storytellers. Not all of us, because it's not it's not instantaneous. But I definitely can speak for myself where I could command an audience when I'm telling a story, and the delivery, like you said, what is it? The what pause, the
negative space.
The negative space. I mean, it all works. You fine tune it over the years, right? You've been all over the world. You've worked in many places. You've worked with many people. You fine tune that storytelling ability.
There's no question. And I will share a very quick story that relates to what we're talking about. I had a woman that was working for me. I actually hired her not once, not twice, but 3 separate times. Brilliant woman, bachelor's degree, master's degree, MBA and whatnot. And we were sitting in a cocktail lounge, I think in Hong Kong. And out of nowhere, she said, you know what amazed me? She was like, you have carved out a creative and successful career by the sheer will of your personality.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, thanks. And then I thought about it for a second and I said, did you just call me dumb?
Yeah, I mean, that goes with it. And that's what these guys have to bring it full circle. They fine-tune the craft of telling a story. Now, there's comedians that tell jokes, and there's comedians that have different styles, but there's very few that are storytellers. And Dave Chappelle has mastered the art of storytelling.
No question.
They know, and they work on it, of course. They get to go on any stage they want, any night they want at the comedy club, the comedy store, and work on their material. But the fact remains that when Dave Chappelle goes up on stage, he's not like Bill Burr, right? Bill Burr still tells a good story, but Dave Chappelle brings you in. He draws you into it. It's very cerebral. And then he starts dropping, and then he hits you, and then he goes back to the story, right? It's just brilliant. Like Norm Macdonald could tell a whole story. He could tell a 15-minute story, right? And you're dying the whole time.
Yeah. Look, I'm not comparing myself to any of those people, but I will tell you that about a month ago, I was down in Dallas, and in front of I don't know, maybe 100 people. We were doing a 2-day training, and I walked up, didn't say hello, didn't tell them who I was, didn't give them my pedigree or my credentials or anything. I walked up and I started telling a story. And I went into it, and I will tell you that they were on the edge of their seats, and I had them laughing. And later on in the program, when we were talking about the art of storytelling, I actually told them, I was like, if you think about that story that we led with, I didn't do that because I wanted to tell a story. I mean, I always want to tell stories, but the simple fact of the matter is it was a great way to actually start the program because it immediately engaged them. They were listening. They were interested. I set the tone for the meeting. I had them laughing, got them comfortable, got them involved right out of the gate. And that is really the art and the genius of being really good at that. And I'm not saying that I am, but I'm saying that those comedians...
No, we are. You're good at telling a story. I'm good at telling a story. I know, Phil Kelly's good at telling a story. Like, there's a bunch of... But what you just said, you break it down even more. How you introduced it by not introducing it is part of the humor. It's the, who the fuck is this guy reaction. Like, not like, hi, I'm Jack, I'm here, so, and then you start telling a story. Just walking up and starting a story while no one's really expecting it or not introducing yourself, that's the beauty of that whole thing.
And this is the reason why I like Detroit Rock City better than Schools Out.
Yeah, well, then my next question is...
Detroit Rock City
tells a story.
Tells a story.
Yeah, and now, fucking radio stations now won't play the car crash at the end. Bunch of pussies. They're all fucking pussies.
All right. Here's your quick trivia question. Do you remember the name of the song that Detroit Rock City, the car crash, actually goes into? Are you looking at your phone? Are you Googling that?
I'm not. No, hands up. I'm just looking at my Roadcaster Pro trying to think of the song that you're talking about. No, I can't offhand think about it.
King of the Nighttime World.
There you go. That's a good trivia question.
Yeah.
It's
Perry,
useless.
Bob Ezrin produced both of those. That's awesome, man. That's a good piece of info.
We see Mark Smith says, what makes comedy great is that many stand-ups are very dark people. Yeah, who walk the fine line. Just listen to any comedian get interviewed. Good stuff. Absolutely. I mean, you have to come from... I don't know how many rich guys become comedians. You know what I mean? Like, name a comedian that was rich before he became a comedian.
Not rich, but it's hard to think about comedians who don't necessarily have a dark side. I think the only person that comes to mind off the top of my head is Jerry Seinfeld.
Well, Bill Burr doesn't really have a dark story. He's just a fucking kid that grew up in Boston that noticed everything around him was fucking funny.
Yeah.
And what about a way of telling it?
Bill Burr, I think, is hilarious. I think
he's one of the funniest out there right now. Right. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's move on. Better song. Which song do you like better? Okay. Do you understand that question?
Could you repeat it, please?
Yeah, what song do you like better?
Okay. I'm ready.
You're not going to break this down and fucking overanalyze it, are you?
Which
song that I'm about to present to you do you like better? Okay? See, if you're a normal person, I would just say, which song is better? And you know what I'm saying, but we beat that one up already. So which song do you like better? Can You Hear Me Knocking or Whole Lot of Love?
That's an easy one for me. Can't You Hear Me Knocking? Yeah. Again, I love them both. But Can't You Hear Me Knocking is one of my absolute favorite Rolling Stones songs. And you know what? This adds to it. I'm sorry, but it does. It's my wife's favorite Rolling Stones song.
Oh, I understand. Again, this isn't an arguing question.
No. I mean, this is personal opinion. I mean, look, do you like French fries or onion rings better? They're both delicious.
Onion rings. I love onion rings. You know what's the best onion rings? I don't care what anybody says. The fucking best onion rings, Burger King. Burger King.
Dude, you're a
They
fucking
are so
mess.
consistent. They are so consistent.
So
They're all the
wait a
same
minute.
size. They're all the same size.
But they don't actually have an onion in them, right?
Yes, they
Isn't it
do.
onion
Yes, they
bits?
do. No,
They're little onion bits.
I don't care. It's an onion ring.
Dude, you have the culinary taste of a 5-year-old.
Fucking Burger King onion rings are the best with Fanta orange. With Fanta orange drink. Yeah. Fanta orange soda. Yeah, buddy.
So wait a minute. So which one do you like? Do you like Whole Lot of Love? Or?
I'll answer that. By the way, so you know what I eat, right? You sometimes you're mortified at what I eat.
Yeah,
right?
you eat shit.
Right? Like a child, right? Like
You
a
do.
12-year-old kid, right? Like Spam sandwiches with mayo, right? So once again, I get my blood tested last week, the VA. I get my results yesterday. Fucking perfect. Perfect.
That's
Everything is spot on clean. Yeah, so I can continue to eat Spam and mayonnaise sandwiches on white bread.
Hey,
with a big glass of milk.
You got good genes, brother.
I'm blessed to eat whatever the hell I want. Yeah. So, you know what? I thought of that because I of course I came up with the question. And this is why I picked these particular songs. I was thinking, which is the equivalent? Because hey, you could say, what's a better song, "Stairway to Heaven" or "Send Her My Love" by Journey. But yeah, try to find two songs that are equivalently that have they're equivalent in popularity and kind of their own little legend, right? I
don't know that
Love is a great song, man.
Yeah, I don't know that they're equivalent, from a popularity standpoint. I think that Whole Lot of Love is far more popular than Can't You Hear Me Knocking.
Well, Goodfellas made Can't You Hear Me Knocking pretty popular, didn't they?
Yeah, look, I think if you went out on the street and you played the first 5 seconds of each of those songs that just people that are passing on the street, most people would be able to pick out Whole Lot of Love. I would think that far less people would be able to pick out Can't You Hear Me Knocking. Shit, just my opinion.
Yeah, that's fine. These are
could be
opinion
wrong.
questions.
Could be wrong. What do I
Harry
know?
Dietovich likes the Rolling Beatles, so he's straight down the middle.
Not one of his best lines.
Not one of them. No,
Not one of his best lines.
Wasn't. Yeah.
But one thing that I will tell you, you think about, or I think about occasionally, like moments where music really struck me or hit me. Like I remember the first time I heard, Van Halen 1. This might be somewhat interesting to you. The first time I actually really listened to Led Zeppelin 2 and Whole Lot of Love, I actually took out Led Zeppelin 2 from the Winthrop Public Library.
That's awesome.
And played it, and my mind was absolutely fucking blown.
Yeah.
How good that record was.
That's awesome. Yeah, the library, right?
By the way, that I apologize, Winthrop Public Library. I know that I still haven't returned that record. Yeah. I know I probably owe you guys $3.25.
Yeah, but the album's worth $20 now. So
40 years worth of fines. Yeah. What do I owe you? What, nickel? Come on.
It's not the Seinfeld episode.
Come and get me.
Costanza owed money to the library, right?
Jerry did.
Jerry did, yeah. I mean, I guess I got to go with Can You Hear Me Knocking, but Whole Lot of Love is a great fucking song, man.
Great song.
It's one of those songs that it was reborn to me. Like you heard it so much growing up, and then I just didn't want to hear it. And we talk about this every few episodes. Whole Lot of Love was totally reborn to me again in a car ride. I said, you know what? This fucking song is great again. It's great again.
I have to wonder if you did this consciously or unconsciously. But if I ask, and I have had people...
by the way, it was Costanza. It was Costanza. Thank you. Costanza has the book. He had the book. He had Carla Grillo doesn't lie. What was the book Costanza had from the library?
Tropic of Cancer.
No, didn't he have
Tropic of Cancer?
Yeah.
Well, remember at the end, the old gym teacher who was now a homeless guy, he had the copy of it. Yeah, so Jerry had taken it out of the library and lent it to George.
Okay.
Okay.
Can't
So
stand
let me
you. Yeah, go ahead.
let me get back to the point I was trying to make. I wonder if you did this consciously or unconsciously. But there have been people that have been critical of each of those songs for almost the same thing. And one of the reasons why sometimes I get a little lost with Whole Lot of Love and disregard it is that middle piece with the violin going over the guitar strings. Yeah, that weird piece, like, okay, all right, I get it. Now I love it when the band kicks back in. It's really powerful. But there are those elements of that song that people get a little lost in. And on the same token, or by the same token, on Can't You Hear Me Knocking, there are some people that get critical because once the main part of the song ends,
It's all
and you
guitar.
get into that, you get that saxophone and then
Bongos.
that guitar solo, and then like, it's so fucking long, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I
But
think a lot of people cut it off.
You may have subconsciously picked two songs that have a similar kind of break in them or a similar musical element that has a tendency to either excite people or lose people.
Could be. Yeah. But in the end, I guess I would have to say, "Can You Hear Me Knocking?" Although that ending is long.
It is long.
That is long.
But I love it.
By the way, wasn't that song was in Goodfellas, right? So was Layla, right? Or was that Layla?
I think they both
were in there. Yeah. Oh, was Can You Hear Me Knocking in Casino?
It may have been in every Scorsese film. He always plays the Stones. Can't You Hear Me Knocking? Maybe in The Departed as well.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see. Better song. Which song do you like better?
Let's see. Now you're getting it. Now you understand the point I was trying to make. I just
don't want to argue with you again.
No, it's right.
No.
No.
Whoa. Yeah. Whoa. Better. Which song do you like better? Paradise by the Dashboard Light or Radar Love?
Paradise by the Dashboard Light.
Really?
Yeah, you know what? I like Radar Love. I don't know.
Radar Love is a great fucking song, man.
It's a great song, but for whatever reason, it's just never really held my interest.
But subconsciously, there's some people that don't seem to like the break in the middle of Paradise by the Dashboard Light with all the, the baseball and her moaning. I think subconsciously you picked that song because you seem to like that part of the song. That.
I get it.
Radar Love is a great, is that a song?
Right, you know what? Right, Radar Love is by far a cooler song. There's no question.
Have you ever turned that song off? Think
yes.
about it. Have you really?
Sure.
Wow.
Sure.
I've never turned that song off. Same as Benny and the Jets. I've never turned it off.
But I've also turned off Paradise by the Dashboard Light. I got to be honest with you. I'm not a huge fan of either of those songs. They're both okay. But right. I can see the work that you put into this to make sure that the songs that you're picking for us to compare are on equal footing.
That's what I try to do.
And for me, those songs are on equal footing. If I were to give them a grade, yeah, they're kind of B- songs. I don't know.
In the big picture, B- isn't bad.
No,
B
they're
is
not.
good.
They're not bad songs.
But Radar Love, have you seen the video? When was the last time you watched the video?
I'm trying to remember what the video was.
It's just them. It's them up on a stage it's just cool watching them play and the clothing. Like these, what are they, Dutch? They're Dutch. Yeah. The bell bottoms and the whole thing. But I got to say that, yeah, Radar Love is you can't call them a one-hit wonder. That's for sure.
No, they had another shitty song in the 80s.
We went through this. I like that Danger Zone. I like that song.
Isn't it Twilight
Another
Zone?
Song that people
Twilight Zone, right?
Huh? Twilight Zone. Yeah.
Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone. Yeah.
Yeah. MTV killed that song. Killed it.
Hey, back in the day, were you a Pat Benatar guy or a Deborah Harry guy? You know what I mean.
Definitely more Deborah Harry.
Yeah.
Definitely more Deborah Harry.
Yeah. Although Pat she's a little spark plug, but Deborah Harry is just sexier.
For whatever reason, and this may not be true, but this is just the way that I'm thinking about it right now. Blondie was a band that crossed over, right? Kind of came out of the whole CBGB's thing, kind of had a punk edge, kind of had a new wave thing. And I think that was, at least in the crew that I ran around with, was more widely accepted. Pat Benatar was kind of, and this is totally wrong, was music for girls.
Well, I'm talking about like looking at them. Like who did you like? Like female lead singers, like not the music. Like, were you more attracted to Deborah Harry or Pat Benatar?
I would have been glad to have either of them reject me.
Back in the day, even today, right? No, I saw Blondie. She's Deborah Harry. She's an older woman now. Can't knock her. But who were you more attracted to? Who did you think was hotter? Deborah Harry. Or Pat Benatar?
Deborah Harry.
Deborah Harry? Yeah, I got to go with that. So, Carla Grillo asked a question to us. She said, when you're looking for a good song on the radio in the car and you land on a decent song, do you have to see what's on the other stations before you settle on that song? Why would you do that? Like, do you do that?
No. I don't. I don't do that. But I will.
That?
I will tell you that, from my perspective, I think that music today is too accessible and too disposable. So I will tell you that back in the day when I was,
I don't know what that has to do with switching stations to find a better song.
If you shut up for a second and let me finish my fucking statement. Fucking idiot.
You idiot. Go on. I'm sorry.
There have been songs that I adored. Like, I'll give you one of them. The Boys Are Back in Town by Thin Lizzy. That if I was flipping through the radio stations and that song came on, especially if I caught it at the beginning, it made me incredibly happy because I didn't have the cassette, I didn't have the record or anything like that. And I just loved that song. Benny and the Jets, same way. Radar Love, probably the same. If you came across that song when you were listening to the radio, it may be the one time that you actually heard that song that week. And now, because people have 10,000 songs in the palm of their hand or on their computer or in their car or whatnot, you don't have that same thing. It's easy to go and listen to Benny and the Jets anytime you want. Back when you and I were coming up, you kind of had to wait for it. And it made it special. And now I think that some of that specialness is gone because it's so accessible that you can have it anytime.
But I'm
now
saying,
do you get it? Now do you get it? Now do you understand?
No, I don't. I don't, because the question was when you're riding in your car. No. Listen to the question is when you're riding in your car, not when you're listening to your MP3 player or whatever. It says when you're looking for a good song on the radio in the car and you land on a decent song like Sirius, so you're hitting the channels on Sirius, and you come across Benny and the Jets. Do you go a little further to see if there's a better song on the radio? That's what she's asking. I don't know where you went.
The point that I was trying to make is because, look, let's say that I'm in my car and I'm driving and Radar Love comes on
Sirius satellite radio. We'll just say satellite radio.
Whatever it is, right? I can go to the next station, and if I don't like what's on the next station, I can start Radar Love right over again, right from the beginning. Do you know what I mean?
No, my Sirius doesn't work like that.
Well, do you not have an MP3 player in your car?
Dude,
do you not have
not
your phone?
An MP3 question.
No,
it's a radio. On the radio.
So listen, when you're driving in your car, what kind of car do you drive right now?
I have a Lexus GX460.
So when you're driving your Lexus GX 460 and a song comes on, and let's say it's Radar Love, and you go, oh, it's Radar Love, and it's on the radio, and it's only the last like 30 seconds of the song. You're like, oh, I want to hear that song. What do?
I go to the next station because I'm fucking driving.
No, you don't. You don't play it on your phone.
No, I'm not going to go pull it up on my phone. I'm driving.
Yeah, but you can do it right from your car.
While I'm driving?
Sure.
I'm not going to do that. I get satellite radio. I pay for satellite radio.
Siri, play Radar Love by Golden Earring.
That's not how Sirius works. Sirius XM does not do that. And I'm not going to do that. The question was, if you're listening on the radio, say you don't have your fucking MP3 player, your cell phone's fucked.
You're overanalyzing this question.
Examinating. You like that? You're over-examinating.
You're overthinking the question.
It's a simple question. You're the one that went off to left field with today's music and the abundance and the quality and the sustenance of the music. It's just if you're driving in your fucking car and you hear a fucking song that comes on, say, Ozzy's Boneyard, and you like it, do you go to fucking 70s on 7 and 90s on 9 before you go back to that one? That's the question.
The point that I was making is you can go to the next station, and if you don't like what you can hear, you can go back and you can start that song over. That's all. That's all I'm saying. And what I'm saying is back in the day, wait a minute. If you go back in the day, you couldn't do that. That's all I'm saying.
It says when you are looking for a good song on the radio, not on when you, Jack, are looking for a good song on the radio in the car, and you land and you come on Ozzy's Boneyard, you flip and you hit Ozzy's Boneyard, you got, I don't know, War Pigs is on. Do you go to 70s on 7 to see if that song's better? And if it's not, you go back to War Pigs?
Scott, I have a question for you.
Oh, answer this fucking question.
I know your blood work.
Do it.
I know your blood work turned out well when you went to the doctor.
But my blood pressure is fucked right now. How was your blood pressure? It's fucked right now. Absolutely fucked right now. God damn. You're fucking killing me here.
How many people are listening to this podcast and going to the next station to see what's going on?
Exactly. Yeah, I'm going to go to the next podcast to see if there's a better one. Let me go to the fucking Cats Purring podcast. That's a lot better. Oh, by the way, Dave Phillips says that he thought Pat Benatar was hotter.
Look, this is a whole lot of love. Can't you hear me knocking question? They're both beautiful women. And not only beautiful women, but smart women, strong women, intelligent women that have long, sustained careers.
Pandering.
I'm not pandering.
You're a panderer.
It's a fact. It's a fact.
How do you know they were strong?
Anybody that could lead either one of those bands for the duration and the length of time that they've been around have to be strong women.
No. Each of those women had a man guitarist as their boyfriends.
What does that mean?
That made them strong.
Whoa. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be my final broadcast with this misogynistic prick.
You said that on episode 50. You're not going anywhere.
Did not, please.
Someone actually thought you were leaving the show. Someone messaged in. Hey, so let's see. So Mark Smith, he asked an interesting question. He says, he makes an interesting comment. Buying a record was special, of course. You appreciated the whole album until you found out there was fucking only 4 good songs on the album. But, you bought the album anyways. And you made a mixtape from your favorite albums, right? Streaming is disposable. So my question, though, is... So
wait a minute. Before you go on, Mark Smith's question is an indication that he understood the point that I was trying to make.
No, it has nothing to do with the point you were trying to destroy when you were overanalyzing it.
Everything to do with the point that I was trying to make.
It says
it has everything to do with it.
What the fuck did buying albums have to do with driving in a car
It's the disposability of
Switch it.
music these days.
Let's get out of here. So anyways, when you made a mixtape, which you did.
I did many of them.
I did too. Did you have a formula? Did you have a formula of how you did your mixtapes?
You mean like
I did.
the formula?
I had a specific formula.
Wait a minute. Like the formula that was explained in the movie and book High Fidelity? Have you ever seen that movie?
If I was physically in front of you right now, I might choke you.
Why?
What formula in High Fidelity are we talking about? And making a mixtape.
So John Cusack, in the book High Fidelity, the main character actually explains the theory and the strategy of putting together a solid mixtape.
Okay, I stand corrected then. No, I don't. The question is to you. Did you?
I did.
And what was your formula?
Start off with a bang, something, really rocking, right out of the gate. And then, following that up with, something in the same pace, but then I would take it down a little bit, so it wasn't well thought out. I think it was really dependent upon what music I was listening to at the time, but there was no question about it that making a mixtape, you did have to craft it. So the sequencing of it was good.
I had a pretty simple formula. Every double shots. Two songs.
Nope.
Yep.
Nope.
That was my formula.
Nope.
It worked.
Nope.
Yep.
Wrong.
Two songs.
No.
Yes.
It's too formulaic.
Yeah. But you get 2 from the Stones, 2 from Aerosmith, 2 from The Who, 2 from The Doors, 2 from fucking whoever, Sly and the Family Stone. Yeah. But they were two good ones. They were two good ones.
To each his own.
Yeah.
To each his own. Most of the mixtapes that I used to make only would have one song from each band or artist. That was in my opinion, that was the whole idea behind a mixtape, was to really have that type of variety.
Yeah, and I mean, again, you could fit.
Do you think? Can you think of a song that you put on most of your mixtapes? Like, is there a song that you can think of? Like, one popped into my head, and if you want, I'll share it with you.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I used to, if I went into a shoebox that had the 50 mixtapes that I put together, I bet you there's probably 10 to 12 of them that have Erotic City by Prince on them.
Oh. I can't think of one particular song that I would put on every tape. And I did make singular, mixtapes, but I really liked doing the double shots, but I can't think of one particular song that I put on the majority of my tapes. No.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know why that popped into my head, but it did.
No, I mean, listen, mixtapes are great. I just fucking can't believe we didn't make money off them like this fucking last generation did. Selling fucking mixtapes. They did that shit. Yeah.
We could have, man.
They were fucking, these young, DJs, they put together a mixtape and they fucking sell them. It's like, what the fuck?
You think about it. You think about it. If you had gone into Winthrop High School at the time and you had a dozen mixtapes that had, Van Halen or U2 or whatever the mix was on it, where people, look, not everybody was an idiot like you and I and went out and bought every record we could possibly afford. So if you could give them a certain amount of variety, and if you actually took the next step to create a decent cover on it, you could have actually done really well with that.
Yeah. Yep. All right, you know what? I'm going to do it anyways. Let's do On This Day. Doesn't matter.
God.
Yeah. See, I wasn't going to do it until at the beginning of the show you said something about, well, nobody's really going to know. And all right, so I'm just going to do it. So you talked yourself into it. This day in music. What's today? April 14th, right? So this day in music, I'll pick this one, 1967. David Bowie's novelty record, The Laughing Gnome, oh, that old Bowie shit, was released in the UK. The track consisted of the singer meeting and conversing with the creature of the title, whose sped-up voice, created by Bowie, and studio engineer Gus Dudgeon delivered several puns on the word gnome. Blah, blah, blah. That dude was lucky. He fucking changed things up, I'll tell you what. On this day in 1967, a riot broke out at Warsaw's Palace of Culture as the Rolling Stones made their first appearance in an Iron Curtain country. Police used tear gas in a battle with 2,000 fans. Let's see. On this day in 1969, John Lennon, right? The recording of the Ballad of John and Yoko took place with just two Beatles, Paul and John. They were the two that played. Paul played the bass, drums, and piano. John on guitars and lead vocal. The song was banned from many radio stations as being blasphemous. On some stations, the word Christ was edited in backwards to avoid the ban. On this day in 1970, Creedence Clearwater Revival made their UK debut when they played the first two nights at Royal Albert Hall. On this day in 1971, the Illinois Crime Commission issued a list of drug-oriented records, including White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane, A Whiter Shade of Pale by Procol Harum, and the Beatles' Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. On this day in 1972, David Bowie released Starman as a single in the UK, which became his first hit since 1969's Space Oddity 3 years before. On this day in 1973, Led Zeppelin started a 2-week run at #1 on the UK album chart with Houses of the Holy, also at #1 in the US. The young girl featured on the cover of the album climbing naked up Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland is Samantha Gates, who was 6 years old at the time of the photo shoot, and very controversial to this day.
Deb and I went there. Giant's Causeway is an amazing place. Are you muting me? Is that what you doing?
No, I got you.
It's an incredible site.
On this day in 1975, after rumors that Jimmy Page, Steve Marriott, Jeff Beck, and Chris Spedding variously would replace Mick Taylor as guitarist of the Rolling Stones, a press release confirmed that Ronnie Wood would be joining the band for their forthcoming American tour. Who cares what him? On this day in 1978, Joy Division played at the Stiff Test Chiswick Challenge at Rafters in Manchester, England. Future managers Bob Gretton and then journalist Tony Wilson saw the band for the first time. On this day in 1980, Gary Newman released The Touring Principle, the first long-form rock video to be made commercially available in the UK. This is a sad one. On this day in 1983, the Pretenders bass player Pete Farndon died from a drug overdose. He was sacked from the group on June 14th, 1982, 2 days before Pretenders guitarist James Honeyman Scott was found dead of heart failure. Farndon was in the midst of forming a new band with former Clash drummer Topper Headon when he died. I wonder how that would have worked out.
Probably
Those
not
things don't usually work. Yeah, they don't usually work.
Phil Kelly and I saw the original Pretenders. They were a ferocious band. They were unbelievable back then. That band was never the same. I mean, they still enjoyed popularity, but nothing like that original lineup. They were a ferocious, unbelievable, incredibly talented band. Damn shame. Yep. Stay away from drugs, kids.
Yeah. On this day in 1994, Kurt Cobain was cremated. Okay.
Kurt Cobain. Stay away from drugs, kids.
Yeah. On this day in 1995, Burl Ives died.
Burl Ives. Bad overdose. Stay away from drugs, kids.
Stay away from bananas or something, whatever. Stay away from Spam and mayonnaise sandwiches. Silver and gold. On this day in 1999, Anthony Newley died. See, we grew up with these guys, though. That's what's strange, right? We grew up listening. They were around. This is making up your concert seller tickets. Michael Jackson, planned auction, blah, blah. George Harrison. Honored posthumously. Justin Bieber. On this day in 2015, Percy Sledge died. Born on this day, Loretta Lynn, country star Loretta Lynn. Born on this day, Richie Blackmore, guitarist for Deep Purple. And really, nobody else. All right, that's the show. That's it. This is the show on the shelf. Show on the shelf show. The people that watched it, they won't. This is going to be aired maybe in 2 weeks. Are you traveling again in 2 weeks, Jack?
I will be in the Dominican Republic.
In 2 weeks?
In 2 weeks. I leave. Oh, actually, that's not true. Next week, I go to the Dominican Republic on Thursday.
Yeah.
The following week, I'm in Savannah, Georgia.
All right. So you'll be here for a show on Wednesday night, yeah? Barring any...
Next week, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And then this show will be aired on the podcast in 2 weeks. So we got one in the books, buddy. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Stay away from drugs, kids.
Yeah, that's the theme of the show, I guess. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Like I always say, you are the engine that makes this machine run. Without you, it'd just be me talking to Jack, and well, we do that anyways. And always...
We love that you people are here, but we don't need you. Okay?
Yeah. And doing this show for you, like I always say, to quote my favorite artist, Morrissey, the pleasure, the privilege is mine. If you like the show, share it. Tell friends about it. Subscribe to it. If you subscribe on YouTube, hit that little bell next to it. It'll tell you when we come on live. If you're listening on any podcast platform, give us a comment. Give us 5 stars. Give us a rating. Give us a download. Give us anything. We'll take it. We'll take it. All right, buddy. Show number 52 in the books.
Woohoo! Deck of cards, brother. Deck of cards.
Deck of cards. We'll be back next week.